through the grants that AMFAR has provided through these events. We give usually $50,000 to $100,000 to each grant, to each scientist. And because of this kind of thing that we invented, this kind of way of making these parties, and that a celebrity can create an impact in a room, because celebrities have this ability to create enthusiasm and joy and a sense of unity by being a celebrity, by using their fame in a positive and forward motion. We have been able to bring people together, and last year at Cannes we raised $7.5 million in one night. And those grants now, we are the global foundation for AIDS research, and we give grants in India and China, Africa, and all over the world to scientists who are working in overcrowded laboratories, really killing themselves to get a vaccine, to work towards a cure. And so now this fame, which before could be just such an empty thing, becomes a really valuable thing. And musicians come, a stripper, a wonderful girl, this Dita Fontees, has committed her fame. She came. People from all kinds of walks of fame use their fame in this amazingly kind of enervating way to bring people together and give their fame a deeper meaning. And it's working. People who would have died in 6 months are now living 20 years. So fame has taken a different kind of value and a different kind of usage because people are using it in a way that has meaning for them. So why? I'm not sure why, but it's working.
That's good. Une question sur une initiative récente de Bono, le chanteur qui est venu en France.
Hi Sharon, my name is Thomas Picamol. I'm a student at ESSEC Business School. Well, Bono, the famous singer, recently met the French President Nicolas Sarkozy so that he reversed his decision to cut down France's financial contribution to the Global Fund to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria. Do you also plan to remind the states their commitments? Thank you.
Well, you know, I've been fighting and working with presidents and governors and senators for a long, long time. Whether it's financing, giving money to AIDS, or approving the needle exchange program, which AMFAR put into operation originally. You know, there's always these discussions that go on and these phone calls that you make and these meetings that you take, you know, as far back as when Clinton was in office to try to get AIDS money. And, you know, when in the beginning, he didn't want to give any money to AIDS, but now it's his vocation. So I think you never know when your conversation has its return. Like I said, the box sometimes looks like a piece of shit, and in the end, it's a gigantic gift. Did I really think that Bill Clinton was going to be an AIDS worker? If you would have asked me 10 years ago, no. Because it was like the conversations I had trying to get money during that beginning presidency, I couldn't get a dime. And now he's one of the largest contributors to AIDS work in the world. So I know that the conversations did not fall on deaf ears. You just don't know. You do not know what's going to happen. All you know is you have to try and try and try. And sometimes you can't imagine what happens in the minds of men and women in the world. You just don't know. But you have to keep at it with dignity and with grace and not think this is the last conversation.
Do you often work with some people like businessmen Bill and Melinda Gates, Warren Buffett, all these people who give a lot of money.
You know, when I was in Davos and I stood up in that room and they thought I was the craziest woman in the world when I was like, I want this money for malaria, and they said, sit down, Miss Stone. It's, no, I'm not saying, sit down, Miss Stone. Bill Gates was on the stage.
And
I didn't get money from Bill Gates that day, but think how much money since then he's given to malaria. Now he's one of the biggest contributors to money for malaria in the world. I mean, he really has made a huge difference. Do I think I had an effect? I have no idea. But certainly I was in the wheel of the movement of his life during that period. So I think, you know, maybe
just a piece.
a little piece of grease in
Yeah.
the wheel.
Ok, justement, alors une question sur le court terme et le long terme dans ce genre d'action. Le micro, ça marche.
My name is Sarah Tadlaoui. I'm a student at Sciences Po Paris. Your past humanitarian involvements have, such as fundraising at Davos, have achieved excellent short-term results. Now, how do you transform this into sustainable long-term effort? Thank you.
That's the thing, you know. You have to just, you have to stay with it, and it's hard because it will fall apart, and it doesn't do itself. And people think because people are living longer, for example, that AIDS is getting better. For example, AIDS is getting worse. There are many different strains of AIDS. No one is living from AIDS. And people think now, oh, you can just fix it. If I get it, I can fix it. You know, so for example, it gets it's almost like the better you do, the harder it is. It's not the better you do, the easier it is. And also the better you do, the more people want you to do their thing. So it's trying to contain yourself and stay focused on the things that you're doing and not get all ego crazy and think, oh, I can do that too. You have to try to stay disciplined and focused and organized.
Est-ce qu'il y a des questions dans la salle? On a encore plein de sujets à voir, mais surtout ce dont on a parlé déjà, est-ce qu'il y a des questions? Alors, madame, est-ce que vous pourrez vous présenter? On va vous donner un micro, et avant de formuler votre question, est-ce que vous pouvez vous présenter?
Hello, my name is Julia Konstandake. I have a very straightforward question for you. You talked about the box of gifts that each of us receives. Where did you get the strength to open this box and use what you had in it? And where do you get the strength to carry on?
Well, that's the question of the day, Madame. I think there comes a time in everyone's life when they get the hardest gift. My gift came about 6 years ago when I had a brain hemorrhage. And I certainly didn't plan that my gift would be falling on the floor and bleeding into my brain. I didn't plan that I was going to be so alone in this experience. And I didn't plan that the doctors would accidentally have a mistake and not find it. And I didn't plan that I would bleed into my brain for 9 days before they found it. So by the time that they discovered what was going on with me, I was nearly dead. My recovery was very difficult. my recovery was a choice. And it wasn't an easy choice. Less than a year later, my father was told that he had esophageal cancer. He was given less than a 3% chance of living 3 months. By that time, I understood what it meant. And I shared this experience with my father, that he had the opportunity to choose whether or not this could be his gift. He decided to choose that this would be his gift. I'm alive and my father is cancer-free. Our family has made some very big decisions and some big choices in these years. And when I asked my father what was the gift for him in that really shit box, he told me that he discovered the wonder in each and every day. He's a different man than the man that I grew up with. He's an amazing human being, just astonishing human being. And I have a relationship with him that's changed my life. I realized that I lived to have a different life, and that I can have the life that I choose to have now, not a life that's chosen for me. And I remind myself of that several times a day. And I think it's really important that we do that we remind ourselves to have the life we choose, and to give generously from that life, the life we choose to give to others. Sometimes we have to be really truthful in that giving, in a way that maybe before might not have seemed kind, but in fact, what it was just selfish and controlling, and a little bit megalomania. But I think real freedom and real peace and real gentility is a different kind of generosity. It's really living with an open hand.
Alors, une question là-haut, monsieur. Vous vous présentez?
Yes, I'm Kai Holger Koch. I have a brain tumor since about 3 years, and the doctors, they gave me 6 to 12 months. And 3.5 years later, I'm still here asking maybe silly questions. Hello, Ms. Stone. I want to ask you 2 questions. You're working for a lot of charities. How do you choose them? Do you have a committee, or can you do it on your own? Considering that there are a lot of demands, maybe. That is one thing. And considering the media coverage everywhere you are you paid if you do something for charities or public relations actions, or if you're paid, do you give the money to the charity organizations? Thank you.
Okay. Well, first of all...
And I just wanted, just one thing to finish.
Yes.
And this discovery of the cancer with epileptical attacks radically changed my life. Right. And I'm thinking about throwing everything in to start something new. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Well, first of all, congratulations. And I understand how it radically changed your life. And when you make the change, just whatever makes you feel absolutely purest is the right choice. The one that makes you feel like your head is really open without any kind of pressure. You know how you feel that your reception is different? Where that feels like it's actually open, that's the right choice. And you know what I mean. And as for the charity, I don't get paid. But sometimes a big charity will say to me, do you want to come and do this fundraiser with us? And we'll give you a percentage of what happens. And I give the percentage to one of the charities that I represent.
That's fine. OK. Madame, levez la main, madame. Sinon, voilà.
Bonsoir, je m'appelle Charlotte Silveira, je suis réalisatrice.
Attendez une seconde, juste une seconde.
Merci.
OK.
Je m'appelle Charlotte Silveira, je suis réalisatrice de films en France. J'admire complètement votre engagement. Je voulais savoir si vous pensiez que le média si fort qui est le cinéma et qui est notre vie est à l'heure actuelle engagé. Est-ce qu'il est à vos côtés pour des combats contre la maladie, l'émotion que vous venez de nous faire partager? Est-ce qu'il le souligne assez fortement, l'engagement de la femme que vous êtes et de l'actrice?
Well, first of all, I think I should say that I don't think that the arts of any kind have any responsibility to be socially committed. I think that art, for art's sake, is great. And I don't think that there is a need or a design for art to be social or political in any way. So I think if it is, great. And if it's not, also great. And I don't think that I have a responsibility to be political or social in my artistic choices. I think I can be philanthropic or whatever I want to be over here, and I can be a silly ass artistically if I want to. I don't feel any responsibility like that. But I do think there are fantastic political movies and fantastically inspiring social movies. Also, I saw an amazing film about landmines this year that was extraordinarily compelling film that moved me and inspired me and that I often think about in the Cinema Verite Film Festival, which I thought was a great festival and very relevant. So I think that there are places and are great films that are being made, but I don't think it's a social, it's a directive that we have to implore from everyone.
On va revenir un peu à notre panel. Une question sur. Je voudrais qu'on parle de deux associations que vous avez soit créées, soit beaucoup aidées, Planet Hope et Seeds of Peace.
Bonsoir, je m'appelle Fanny, je suis étudiante à l'ESC Rouen. J'aurais souhaité savoir, en 1992, quand vous avez créé Planet People, qui a pour objet d'aider les personnes les plus défavorisées aux États-Unis, si vous pensiez pouvoir... qu'est-ce que vous pensiez aujourd'hui et qu'est-ce que vous pouvez faire sur la plus grande puissance, quel bilan pouvez-vous dresser de la pauvreté aux États-Unis, qui est la plus grande puissance mondiale?
Merci.
Merci.
Well, originally, when we made this Planet Hope, my sister Kelly and I, we started it as a summer camp for homeless kids that were living in shelters. And now it's really grown. And, you know, here I go not talking about our president. But this whole no child gets left behind bullshit really bothers me. Because so much money has been spent on the war that all of this money that was supposed to go to kids is being moved away, and there are kids that are not going to school because they simply do not have a winter coat, which is really annoying. So my sister and I now raise money, and across the United States we've gotten a lot of these giant corporations to donate winter coats and shoes and book bags and all kinds of things for kids so that they don't leave school. So we've been doing that across the country. And then we noticed that kids weren't going to their graduation dances because they couldn't get dresses. And so we thought, why should all of these companies just give dresses to celebrities to go to the Oscars? So we called all the companies and we asked them, will you give some dresses so that these girls can go to their graduation dances? And they did that. And then after we had Katrina, we noticed that a lot of these students were they were rotating going to school, where one kid would wear the shoes one day and then another kid would wear the shoes the next day and then the mother would wear the shoes to work. So we got some of the shoe companies to come down to Florida and Louisiana and help put shoes on the kids. So we do a lot of different things now. It's a very small organization, it's very grassroots, but we did a lot of things after Katrina. We did getting people eyeglasses who lost their eyeglasses. We got people insulin who didn't have in the street who were diabetic. Small individual things to help. It's a very grassroots, very individual organization, just trying to do small things across the country to help homeless people, now homeless children and their mothers, and trying to get them back into the job placement. We work with organizations, corporations, trying to get these families back into the job center. And we've been at it long enough now, like 15 years, that some of the women have gone through our system, gotten jobs, and they come back and they work for us now at Planet Hope. They are part of our administrators across the country. They've educated themselves, they're in the system, and they are now workers who help us with Planet Hope. So it's been a nice thing, and a lot of the kids that have gone back to school have graduated with honors. We've helped them get into colleges. So we've seen families grow up through our system, become successful, and move on. So what I hope with our supposedly richest and most successful country is that it starts to act like the big successful country that it is.
Une question sur cette autre association qu'on a évoquée il y a un moment, au début du débat, Seeds of Peace.
In 2006, you supported the Seeds of Peace organization, which attempts to encourage dialogue between young people from countries in conflict with each other. How do you see the commitment of the younger generations in public debate? Thank you.
For me, this is the most important possible thing that you can do, is talk to each other. It is the most important thing you can do with your life, is to open your mind and your heart and have a dialogue. When I went to Israel and I had the opportunity to speak together with Israelis and Palestinians, when I had an opportunity to help them stand up in rooms together and say how they felt and let each other see that they just wanted to be seen and heard and experienced. When I sat down with the incoming Prime Minister, Mr. Olmert, and I said, my mother is so excited that I'm spending the day with you. And he said, my mother is so excited that I'm spending the day with you. And I said, you know, I really should have brought my mother's banana bread because it's so good. And he said, you know, my mother wanted me to bring some pie. And I said, you know, this is how dignitaries should meet. We should bring some food, talk about our families, because really nobody gives a shit about the other stuff. My mother just wants to know, how is your mother? And in truth, my mother wants to know if you think I'm pretty. Your mother wants to know if I like your suit. We just need to get along. And when I went in the rooms and I taught acting together, Palestinians and Israelis, 20-year-olds, 22-year-olds, they just wanted to be good. They didn't want to be, I'm a Palestinian, I'm an Israeli. They wanted to be good. When I met with the Economic Forum of Israelis and Palestinians, they wanted to be smart. They wanted to be successful. They didn't want to be different. Last year when I went to Shanghai and I spent days talking to young Chinese men and women, they didn't want to express, I'm different, listen to my party regime. I wanted to know, tell me about it. What's that like? How is that? They wanted me to know. They wanted me to experience it. They wanted me to feel their culture. They wanted me to taste their food, see their country, look at the colors. They wanted me to know them. There is nothing more valuable and important you can do than be willing to understand and experience the truth of another's soul. People just want to be liked. They want to be known. They want to be seen and heard. Please, there is enough grass for everybody to stand on. That's why we're all standing on it now.
Vous avez parlé de dialogue, vous avez expliqué pourquoi il était important de se parler. Vous avez cité Shanghai. C'est difficile de ne pas contracter tout ça et de passer à côté d'une question sur la Chine, le Tibet, les Jeux Olympiques. Qu'est-ce que vous pensez de ce qui se passe en Chine? Est-ce que les pays occidentaux doivent boycotter les Jeux Olympiques? Comment est-ce que vous vous comportez vis-à-vis de ça?
Well, I don't think anything happens without a wonderful opportunity occurring. Just like my president being president. Here's an opportunity for a lot of dialogue. The Olympics are in China. Whether you like it or not, that's where they are. But the wonderful thing that's happening is that everybody gets to talk about it. And everybody gets to feel something about it and have an opinion. And I, for one, as a Buddhist and a friend, which I say with great honor, of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, I really like that people are taking an opinion and noticing that something has happened, that there is an oppression of the Tibetans. Now, I've never been to the Olympics before, so whether I go or not, I don't think anybody's going to notice. But whether you feel something about this, I think has value. Whether you discuss it, whether it means something to you, how a country treats another country, that has value. Whether you make a statement about it, whether you discuss it, whether it makes you politically aware, that has value. Whether you say, hey, how did that country get the gift of the Olympics when they are doing this thing, which is oppressing another country? Did they deserve to have the gift of the Olympics? That's a good question. To question, to ask, to wonder, to discuss, this is so valuable. Is this country a member of the United Nations? The Olympics is a place of unity. They are not. Wow, that's interesting. How did that happen? Why are they the choice? These are questions. These are all questions we need to talk about, ask, relate to. What could they do as an olive branch? What would be the appropriate thing to do? What would be a visible